Hi everyone, Chris Naskey here with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching with your Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week live on Facebook. So this week I wanted to talk about an adage that I came across a couple of weeks ago that really has been sticking with me. And it goes like this: no one can do it for you, but you can't do it alone. Let me say that again. No one can do it for you, but you can't do it alone. Now, as I started to study this, I realized that this came from, the drug and alcohol rehabilitation world, but really, regardless of whether you're not impacted by that world or not, and unfortunately many of us are, it has some great meaning for our everyday lives. So let's take a look at the first part. No one can do it for you. As much as sometimes we would love to be saved from situations that we're in, or even have someone to blame when we're in challenging situations, the fact of the matter is almost all those situations we find ourselves in are self-created in some way. They're created by our thoughts, they're created by our actions, they're created by our belief systems, and we find ourselves in there because of the way that we've been showing up. The other thing that I'd like to impart about this is that when those things do happen, and they happen to all of us, and we're in our most challenging times, they're tough when we're in them, but when we get out, what are the things we love to tell people about? It's about the challenges that we overcame. I mean, think about it. When was the last time that you sat down with someone and just went off about how wonderful everything went? Right? Most of the time what we do is we take the greatest pride in the things that we have that are difficult for us. So those difficult times that we have in our lives actually help us grow and expand in ways we never knew possible. They become gifts. You might be going through a challenging time right now. I don't know what it is for you. I know I go through them as well. But quite honestly, no one can do it for us. However, it comes to the next thing. We can't do it alone. And how many times do you find yourself in a situation where you're struggling, you're in a challenging place in your life, and you are too stubborn, you're too obstinate to ask for help? And quite honestly, what I realize as a leader is sometimes showing the greatest amount of leadership is when I am able to ask for help. Because what it does is it really helps us connect with the people that we're leading and that we're loving in our lives. It makes us more human, and more people are there to really want to help us, and they actually see us as better leaders. And this came forward for me, this is a while ago. When I first started doing public speaking and professional speaking, I actually started out in the service organizations. So think Kiwanis Club and Rotary Club, et cetera, et cetera. I ate more scrambled eggs and chicken for lunch than I could shake a stick at. But what was great about that is I'd have an opportunity to speak several times each week. Sometimes I'd be doing more than one speaking engagement per day. And this one time, early in my speaking career, I had scheduled a talk in the morning. Hey Sam, good to see you, my friend. I had scheduled a talk early in the morning and then had one later on for lunch. And I gave this talk about empowerment. And at the end, this gentleman came up to speak with me and he said, "You know what? I loved everything you had to say." He said, "But here's one thing I'd encourage you to add." He said, "I've been working in the drug and alcohol rehabilitation world as a counselor for the last 25 years. And he said, the most powerful thing I've found for moving through challenges is knowing when to ask for help." He said it was transformational, not only for my patients, but for myself as well. He said, "I'd really encourage you to share that with your audiences." I said, "You know what? I love it, and I will. In fact, I have a talk this afternoon for lunch." So I did. So I gave the talk, and I shared about the importance of being able to ask for help. Well, at the end, like normally when I get done speaking, people, there were some people lined up to come and chat with me afterwards. And I was really intent on speaking with everyone, really paying attention to him, but I kept being distracted by this elderly man that was several people back. He was shuffling along, kind of stooped in his posture, and he was moving along an oxygen tank with tubes strapped to his nose. So finally he comes up and it's his turn to speak with me. And he says to me in a hushed tone as he leans in, he says, "You know what? He says, my entire life has been amazing. I've got an amazing wife and kids. I had a great business, a beautiful home. I had everything. And then this happened to me." And he pointed to the tubes in his nose. And he said, "You know what? I needed to learn how to ask for help." That's probably about 8 years ago, and I still think about that story often because here was a man that had everything, but he learned the power of asking for help. So my challenge for all of us this week is, let's ask for help and not wait until we're in some dire strait where we really super need it. Ask for help when it really be something that can move us ahead. Because as I said before, we actually come up more powerfully with the people that we're leading, with the people we're loving in our life. And I had a wise teacher tell me one time, he said 100% strength comes from 100% vulnerability. So where do you have an opportunity this week to show that strength through vulnerability? By making sure that no one can do it for you. You still have to move through your challenges, but you don't have to do it alone. So thanks so much for tuning in. This has been Chris Natzke with Black Belt Leadership Speaking and Coaching. If you got value from this, I'd really encourage you to share, like, comment. Love to hear what y'all have to say. And we'll see you next time on the Mind of a Champion Tip of the Week.